The concept is pretty simple, but it's something that we didn't really fully adopt until, about a year and a half ago. And it was really coming off of one of our bigger clients coming to us, and their pain point wasn't my marketing is underperforming or I don't have a good brand. It was, we are spending so much money month over month. We're increasing budget. We're adding new line items to the budget without removing anything. I feel like as the marketing director, I don't have my arms wrapped around what we're spending on and why. So during this exercise, what we did was create these budget categories. And they were based on the overall strategy of the channel aligned with the kind of marketing funnel, if you say. So it's like, if you think of awareness tactics, branding tactics, like connected TV, connected radio, going into performance, like paid search, SEO, and then there's the retention strategy and your direct marketing strategy. So what we did was align all of their elements to all these different, or all their line items to all these different categories to understand where they were over or under investing across their entire budget. So we found that a lot of dealers right now, going back to what Drew had said, is that when we start working with them, they're heavily over invested in paid search. And then they have heavy investments in multiple third parties. And I'm a believer in third parties, absolutely. But maximum, I think a dealership should have is 3. Most should have maybe around 1 or 2. But that's what we were seeing was, 60 to 70% of the budget was being made up with performance, very little awareness, and no retention strategy. So if you think about this just in terms of how a customer engages, that, and I think Drew had said this path to purchase isn't perfect. It's not, I didn't see an ad and click on it and go to the website and convert and then come in and buy a car. And where we were finding massive gaps was that awareness element, so creating brand, but then again, having no retention strategy. So you're spending all of this money on performance marketing, yet you have no strategy to get back in front of them and stay in front of that audience that you just paid so much money for. So that's kind of the idea behind balance, is ensuring that every element of an overall marketing strategy is being adequately funded. But the first thing you have to do is actually organize your budget properly.
Drew, Tim, anything to add to the balance discussion?
Yeah, I think an important piece, and I feel like a question we've gotten since we've kind of really been focusing on this over the last year is, okay, what is the perfect balance? How much of my budget should I have in awareness? How much should be in performance? How much should be in retention and direct marketing? And I hate to say it, there's really no perfect balance. It depends. It's so unique on the dealership, where they are, what their competition looks like, but then also industry changes and seasonality. So that adjustment, I use an example a lot of a sales event around the holidays. July 4th is coming up. So that awareness, it probably makes sense to have more awareness as you lead up to that sales event. So you're educating the consumer, getting them ready. So when the sales event actually happens, then you adjust your budget more towards performance marketing to capitalize on the awareness you've already built. And then as the sales event's kind of going on, and keeping that retention strategy, so staying in front of people and reminding them of, the savings or whatever the offer might be, keeping that top of mind for them. So, I've bought plenty of things that the first time I saw it, I was like, this is cool, but I don't need it. And the 6th or 7th time I got a Facebook ad or saw it on display, now I have a new pair of golf shoes, and it's stacked. I have 6 pairs of shoes and I only wear one, but that's sort of how it goes. Is people aren't going to be ready to purchase, especially for something as sizable as a car. It's going to take time, and kind of being dynamic with that budget and how it's balanced is incredibly important.
Sure. Did those new golf shoes help your handicap?
No, it's only gone up.
I'm not the only one influenced by these campaigns. All right. Well, media balance is important to the overall discussion, especially when we talk about needing to make sure that the ads are placed where they should, saying the same thing. And we talked about branding, sprinkled throughout. A couple of you brought it up here and there. So before we close that media balance discussion, what else do we need to hit, maybe about branding or messaging, before we close out the media balance discussion? Because it's not just about where you put your money.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna. I guess when I think about balance, I think about like the shift of technology that you mentioned earlier. I think that is something that marketers are still wrapping their heads around when it comes to the television landscape. And the way I like to think about it is, we all had Blackberries right back in the day. Like, that BlackBerry Pro was awesome, except for when it got the lint ball stuck in the trackball. So, I like to think about like this transition that we're going through is really similar to BlackBerry to iPhone. When the iPhone came out, all of us as marketers were sitting here in the room thinking like, hey, how do I get my ads in front of consumers as they're making this transition to mobile? And what drove that transition was a shift in technology. And then publishers started figuring out, hey, I should move my content to this device, right? It's a lot easier for consumers to navigate, and they're spending more time and attention there. So like, when you think about the world of streaming TV or connected TV, that same thing is happening right now. If you bought a TV even 3 years ago, the UIs were a little bit clunky, a little bit harder to navigate. But now, as those newer, more advanced TVs are coming on the market, they're so easy to navigate. Publishers are putting all of their premium content there. And so consumers are spending a lot more time and attention in the streaming environment than they ever have before. So when I think about balance, I think about shifting media spend and media allocation along with consumer time and attention.
I think that's a really interesting way to narrate the story of the transitions. But it was like, I visualized that pretty easily. So thank you for sharing that. I'm totally stealing it.